She's already wiped the counters twice before 9 a.m. The kitchen smells like lemons. The throw pillows are perfectly centered at exact 45-degree angles, the way nobody taught her, but she somehow always gets right. And the moment you walk through her door and sit down on the sofa, she's already back on her feet, spraying something, wiping something, straightening something that looks perfectly straight to everyone except her. You thought she just liked things clean. You thought it was a personality quirk, maybe a preference, maybe just the way she was raised. But that is not what is happening here, not even close. If you are the person who cannot sit still while there is a smudge on the stovetop, who notices a crooked rug from across the room and physically cannot let it go, who finishes cleaning only to start again 2 hours later, or if you live with that person and you have spent years quietly wondering what engine is running inside them, then this video found you at exactly the right moment, because this behavior has been mislabeled for a long time. People call it obsessive, people call it excessive, people roll their eyes and make jokes about it at family dinners. But what nobody stops to ask is the only question that actually matters. What is this really doing for them? And once you understand that, once you see the psychology underneath the scrubbing and the spraying and the relentless straightening, you will never look at it the same way again. You will understand yourself or the people you love in a way that actually changes something. So here is what the science says. Psychologists have a term for this called compensatory control. What that means in plain English is simple. When your life starts to feel unpredictable, when circumstances are out of your hands, when anxiety is humming quietly underneath everything you do, your brain does not just sit with that discomfort. Your brain goes looking for something it can control. And the home, your kitchen, your bathroom, your living room, is the most controllable environment most human beings will ever have access to. You cannot control your boss, you cannot control traffic, you cannot control what people think of you or whether your body stays healthy or whether the people you love are okay, but you can control whether that counter is clean, and so you clean it. A 2016 study published in the journal Psychological Science found that people who experienced a significant loss of control in one area of their lives were considerably more likely to impose strict order and structure on unrelated areas, especially their physical environment. The brain is not malfunctioning when it does this. It is problem solving. It is doing exactly what it was built to do: locate an anchor when the water gets rough and hold on to it as hard as it can. Think of it this way. Your mind is a ship, and every time you wipe that counter, every time you vacuum a room that was already clean, your hands are quietly convincing the ship that it is still the captain, that something is under control, that you are not powerless. Every cleaned surface is a small vote you are casting for yourself that says, I can handle this. This part, at least, belongs to me. And there is something else happening at the neurological level that nobody talks about. Repetitive physical tasks, the folding, the scrubbing, the organizing, the methodical moving of your hands through familiar motions, activate what neuroscientists call the default mode network. That is the part of your brain that processes emotion, consolidates memory, and finds a kind of quiet. It's the same network that meditators access when they reach stillness, which means that when you are cleaning, when it looks to everyone else like you are just doing chores, your brain is actually entering a low-grade meditative state. It is pressing pause on the noise. It is bringing you back into your body when your thoughts are racing 3 days into the future. People who clean the way we are talking about today describe it almost identically to how runners describe a long run, not because they love the act itself, but because of what it does to everything happening inside their head while they're doing it. It resets something, it smooths something out. It's not a hobby, it's a regulation system, and it works. Hit subscribe if this is already sounding like someone you know better than you know yourself, because this channel exists for exactly this kind of mind. Now, here is the reframe that society never hands you. When most people see someone cleaning their house 3 times a day, they think control freak, rigid, anxious, too wound up to relax, a little much. They think it's a problem to be managed or a quirk to be tolerated, but that is entirely the wrong read. You are not controlling your environment because the world frightens you. You are controlling it because you have figured something out. You understand, maybe not in these words, but somewhere underneath them, that your external environment and your internal state are always talking to each other. Always. Chaos outside creates chaos inside. Noise outside breeds noise inside. And order, real, physical, tangible order, creates just enough stillness in the mind to actually think, to actually breathe, to actually feel like yourself. That is not a disorder. That is self-awareness at a level most people never reach. You didn't read about it, you didn't learn it in a class, you found it by paying attention to yourself. That's rare. You are not too much. You are dialed in. Now, and this part is worth sitting with honestly, there is a line, and knowing where it is matters. Cleaning repeatedly because it centers you, because it gives you a sense of pride and quiet and agency over your own space, that's a tool. That's you using your environment to take care of yourself. But cleaning repeatedly because the moment you stop, the dread rushes back in, because a single unwashed glass feels like evidence that you are failing, because you can't be present with the people in your home until every surface is perfect, that's something different. One fills you up, the other empties you faster than it restores you. So ask yourself the honest question, does the clean house serve you, or have you started serving it? Because one is peace, the other is a treadmill with no off switch. For most of you, you already know which side of that line you're on, and the fact that you are even asking the question puts you ahead of where most people ever get. You built something without a blueprint. You developed a system not because someone told you to, but because you noticed what worked. You noticed you think more clearly when the kitchen is clean. You noticed you sleep better when the laundry is done. You noticed that your home is not just a place you exist, it's a place you recover in, and you have been engineering that recovery quietly, consistently, every single day, one wiped surface at a time. Nobody handed you the manual, you wrote it yourself. So the next time someone gives you that look, the slightly amused, slightly baffled look that says they think you're excessive, just let it go. They haven't found their anchor yet. You have. That's not a flaw you need to apologize for. That's a feature you built with your own two hands. Wired for order, wired for stillness. Cleaning not because something is wrong with you, but because you know exactly what you need. Tell me in the comments, are you the one cleaning, or are you the one watching someone clean and finally starting to understand them? And if this video opens something up for you, the next one on psychologic goes even deeper into the hidden coping systems people mistake for personality, the ones hiding inside everyday behaviors that most people never stop to question. You're not going to expect where it goes. Click it.